Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Electoral Act number 13/2022 and enact the Electoral Bill 2025 to regulate the conduct of federal, state, and area councils in the Federal Capital Territory elections and for related matters 2025, SB 903, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Electoral Act number 13 of 2022 and enact the Electoral Act 2025 to regulate the conduct of federal, state, and area councils in the Federal Capital Territory elections and for related matters 2025, second reading taken. This bill is now committed to the Committee on Electoral Matters to report back to the Senate within 2 weeks.
Good evening. Tonight, we turn to a debate that could define Nigeria's democracy ahead of 2027. The battle over mandatory electronic transmission of election results. At the center of the storm is the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026. And believe it or not, the fight comes down to two words that sound similar, but carry very different consequences: transfer versus transmit. Opposition lawmakers, led by Senator Enyinaya Abaribe, argue that the current law, inherited from the 2022 Electoral Act, gives INEC discretion. In other words, the Commission may electronically transfer results, but it is not strictly compelled to transmit them in real time. Critics say that flexibility is precisely the loophole that allows what they call coalition center manipulation. Their proposed fix is straightforward. The presiding officer shall electronically transmit results from each polling unit directly to the INEC result viewing portal, known as IREV, immediately after signing the official form. No ambiguity, no wiggle room, just upload and move on. Supporters of this change, including prominent political figures and civil society groups, argue that real-time transmission is the only way to guarantee that what voters see at their polling unit is exactly what appears at the final collation center. For them, anything less is like locking your front door but leaving the window wide open. On the other side, Senate leadership insists they did not reject electronic processes. They caution that Nigeria's infrastructure is uneven. What happens, they ask, in rural communities where network coverage is weak? Could delays spark confusion or unrest? But here's where the technical argument gets interesting. Experts note that a scanned result sheet, the EC8A form, is typically between 200 and 800 kilobytes. That's smaller than most photos people casually send on messaging apps every day. And reports suggest INEC already achieves about 97% transmission coverage, even in remote areas. As some analysts put it, if you can send a text message, you can likely upload a result sheet. So this debate is no longer just technical. It's about trust. It's about perception. And as Nigeria moves toward 2027, credibility may be the most valuable currency in the political marketplace. The bill now heads into harmonization between the Senate and the House of Representatives. The final outcome, and presidential assent, will determine whether electronic transmission becomes mandatory law or remains optional practice. In a democracy of over 200 million people, sometimes the future hinges on a single word. And in this case, that word might be transmit.